Officer Dieter Saudinger, and down there pulling up the, let's see, we'll call you the anchor, Eric Larson, former airline captain, now retired, not chopped liver anymore. We call him Captain.
Dieter and I, we both have to fix our names.
Yeah, we do, but let's have Ron get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah, that's for liability protection. So. Okay, so first thing, we want to thank everybody for joining our Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather, and keep.
Ron, we're 3 shy of 600 members. We're 3 shy of 600.
And I just was getting ready. I downloaded the latest on the Fear Flying survey, and we're up over almost to 150. So wow. we're gonna be doing that webinar coming up. Mm-hmm. This is the birdless flight, Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather. This is our Facebook group, and we do encourage you to go over there if you're not already a member, particularly in times like this when you can find some support, and even more importantly, get in there, get anchored for when we start flying again. I know there's not much of that going on right now. However, great time, good fares, and good seats. Lots of room around you. Okay, and tonight, thanks again to everybody who has donated money to this cause. I still need to make a cardboard sign that says, "Will coach for what? Food?" I guess food's kind of cool.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. Ah, good one, Peter. Will coach for toilet paper. And I don't know what it is about that, but it's still in scarce supply here in Arizona. But I don't know what the deal is. So anyway, okay, we're going to do a quick recap on the webinar. We're going to talk about class updates for the 101, 201, 301. We have a poll question tonight, and that is, what stands most in your way of flying? Is it the COVID-19 or is it your fear of flying? And I may have reversed those answers there. Whatever.
It's okay. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. So,
okay.
So
and we got a couple of things to talk about in the aviation news roundup as well. So join the birds group, and what stands most in your way of flying? I'm really curious about this one. I can tell you what happens in the past when we have some kind of a dramatic event, but fear flying, fears related to the COVID-19 virus, or both. Okay, so
I can tell you my answer is actually physically being unable to do so because of the limitations that we have in Canada in terms of air travel. So all Canadians that do have to travel right now have to wear face masks. And I know we're going to talk about that a little later, but I couldn't even come to you guys to Phoenix because between the US and Canada, all non-essential travel.
What do they count as essential, Peter?
That is of great interest to a lot of sectors.
Down here too, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no clear, list that you can go on a website that. Yeah. But you can, at least in Canada, I don't know, but there is an agency that's there where you can either register as essential, and get that kind of stamp of approval that you're indeed essential.
Yeah. I don't think we're tight at all on that. Do you, Eric? I think it's just if you buy the ticket, you can go. And
domestically, and I'm sure there's, as Dieter is talking about, restrictions for international. I don't know if they restrict us outbound, but the other countries certainly would have their own.
Yeah, so it's your destination that would be restrictive more than.
So and Jim Duke said it used to be the answer to the poll question. It used to be fear of flying, and now it's no place to go. And
there you go. Yeah. But at least you got that behind you, Jim. So when they open it up, we're expecting you to lead the charge there. So, okay.
Hey, and Bill Soller says hi to you, Captain Ron. So
Bill, I remember talking to you on the way to Austin. And then if I'm not mistaken, on the way to Japan one night and in the morning. I remember talking to you in the wee hours in the late night and then getting up and you were still on the airplane in the morning. So Big hi to you, Bill. Nice to have you on board here. Okay, we did our anxiety webinars over the weekend. We had a swing and not a miss, but it was okay. I'm so highly critical of myself. On Saturday, we came back on Sunday, and for anybody who's listened, it might have been on the webinar. We're going to send that replay from Sunday out to you as well.
Yeah, actually, everybody already has it.
Okay, cool. Never mind.
It's out.
Disregard. Yeah. So we just want to talk about a little bit about what we covered on there, and because we are still gathering warm bodies for the coaching class. So let's just do a quick and I don't mean that in a COVID-19 way. We are people with a pulse and who want to do some coaching. And it's not just about airplanes. Dieter and I actually have some skills in other areas in psychotherapy. So we'd love to do that. We talked about the role of beliefs. You know how important beliefs are. They drive your behavior. You don't do nothing without a belief in place. And the other cool thing about that is that the way the beliefs get formed here. I think that's the next slide there. I should probably put that up there and alert myself.
So the next one is what you
believe. Yeah. So what you believe determines what you value, and then those beliefs and values determine your attitude, goals, and motivation. So they drive all your behavior. And you got to know what your beliefs are before you can have any hope of changing them. You can't change the way you think without knowing what you believe to start with. And as I've seen and you've seen over the years, fear plus uncertainty equals anxiety. And so that's the way it is. And our beliefs, the interesting thing about the beliefs is, we'd like to think that we form those based on facts and data. Not at all. The brain looks for patterns. That's the way it evolved. Imagine you're on the savannas of Africa, I think as early as 300,000-400,000 years ago, maybe. And you're developing this brain that above and beyond just like that of a dog, where you can just react instinctively. And so it started looking for patterns because it wanted to defend itself, and that was the whole point, survival. And that's why so much of the good news and the bad news about the brain is survival. Sometimes it gives us false messages, but it organizes itself into meaning, and the beliefs aren't based in facts. You form a belief, and then you go with it, and then you look for evidence in the environment out there to confirm your beliefs. So that's why it's so problematic for a lot of people to have anxiety sometimes. And we have this process. We got this whole formula we use: E plus R equals O. You have an event or something happens to you, a circumstance or a situation, and then you have R, which is your response to that situation, and it yields an outcome or meaning. And we've been using that for years, and we call this the way we unpack beliefs. And if you can imagine, you can't change the events, you can't change the thoughts that pop into your mind. And if you want a different outcome, then algebraically, all you can do is intervene at the point of the R, the reaction or the response there. And unless you do it there, you're not going to be able to change the way you think. If you can't change the way you think, you're stuck where you've always been with the same old behavior. And we call that process acing your anxiety. And that comes because I like airplanes, and I like fighter airplanes, and I like the old lore about being an ace. What do you have to do to be an ace, Eric? Put you on the spot.
I think it was 5 kills, wasn't it?
5 kills. God, you're a youngster. So yeah.
That's on the sedimentary layers, baby.
Yeah, had to shoot down 5 airplanes. So in our aces, you gotta raise your awareness. You gotta learn something, and that's what this coaching is going to be all about when we do that, and the class we're running this weekend as well, so that have more choices. The one problem is being a human being. If you don't know any other way to do something, you can't change your experience. So it's great. Increase your awareness, become more aware of choices, and then you can better your experience, or ACE. Okay. Let's see. I think the last slide.
We talked about ways of how to cope with your anxiety.
Yeah. So you can see them. You can't see them yet. There you go. So we talked about breathing, which is the most fundamental one. So everybody out there right now, no matter what you're doing, just take a breath. Suck in some air. and just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride with us. Okay, and then the rest of the three legs of our stool for the way we do this is educating yourself, again, back to increasing your awareness, changing the way you think, and the big part is social collaboration. I always recommend people when they come to me, if they're looking for some counseling stuff, if they have, if they're limited in capability in finances and stuff, I recommend seeking out a group to work with. That's why the popularity of all the 12-step groups over the years, because even in a controlled environment with a therapist and you're doing group therapy, you get the value of the group because therapists are human as well, and sometimes they'll get into their own stuff, and you'll have people in the group challenge them. And so that's why we really believe in the group process. We have been wanting to add this for a long time, so we're finally going to do it. We haven't set the date yet, but we are taking orders, if you will. We're calling it Essential Wellness Skills, and it's going to be group coaching, 2-hour introduction package. We hope you can join us, and that'll be, we'll have a link to that out there. Okay, now let's see. Do
you wanna? Yeah, where do you wanna?
Yeah, let's just go right into. You want to put that? You want to put the prices up there real quick?
Yeah, or we can circle back to it a little later.
Okay. All right. So let's go to let's go to the online masterclass. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We were supposed to do this live last Saturday. That didn't work out. Then we were going to do that online last Saturday, and for complicated reasons, that didn't work out. So we did the anxiety thing because we thought that was more relevant. But we are going to do it starting this Sunday, May 3rd. From noon to 1:30, it will be, that's in Pacific time, from 3 o'clock to 4:30 in the East Coast. And as appropriate in between, we're going to start the first of 4 modules on each Sunday for the next 4 weeks. And I had a group of people that were really committed to this, and I didn't want to disappoint them with all the changes stuff. So we're going to follow through it. So we do have room for more people if you want to. $97. It normally is $397, and we'll have a link for that in the notes as well. The first week coming up this Sunday, we're going to talk about the psychology of fear flying. Then the next week, real fun time talking about the basics of flying, how airplanes work, all the good stuff, and that's where we get in deep into your questions. What if that, for anybody who wants to know more about the actual flying. And then the third week is going to be really important: coping tools and strategies, a whole module dedicated to what you can do and how you can do it, as far as tools and strategies. And then the last week, catch-all, I'll probably have some bonus content in there, and we'll use that as a place to make sure that you don't walk away without or with questions unanswered. So there's the link down there if you're interested. We would love to have you. We have just got it really into the meat of that, Dieter and I, last weekend, working with this. We use Zoom just like the foundation for the way you're getting the show here tonight. But the cool thing is we can do groups, breakout rooms. And at first, I thought, it's kind of corny, doing that, but it really works out well. People connect and make really good connections. And it really, we're finding people connecting to the point of making accountability partners down the road, which is another benefit of group coaching, where you get to meet other people, and you can now, you don't have to worry about Dieter or Eric or me. So anyway, and that is, like I said, yeah, go ahead.
You can go to the bathroom anytime you want.
That you can.
That's true. You can even hide out. You don't have to put your video up there.
You can have something to eat and have an adult beverage.
Yes, there you go.
All of that. Yes.
All of this for deeply discounted prices.
Yeah. We do wear shorts for anybody there. But we.
Well, speak for yourself, Ron. Up here in Canada,
that's true.
We still got snow flurries.
We still got snow flurries. From the waist up, at least. Yeah, we will not shock you, but you can feel comfortable. It really is cool for that, and there's going to be replays, so you can have it, put it on your devices, and take it with you, so you'll have a legacy of the whole thing. So, all right, let's move into the last part here, talking about the aviation stuff.
Yeah, let me put that first picture up, because that is just something to be.
Yeah, basically, you know, what's in the news, COVID-19. So we found a couple of slides that we thought would be kind of cool. This is where airplanes go when they go to die or their rest home. I'm sure some of these are going to be flying again sometime in the future, but some of these are permanently there, aren't they, Eric?
Yeah, I swear it makes me, and it's surprising for me, a little speechless. I can't not look at pictures like that and just get really, really depressed.
Yeah, yeah.
But it just is. But look at all the airplanes in the foreground are mostly bus, but they all have a Wi-Fi antenna and probably sat communications and everything else. So they have all the gee whiz stuff on that. So,
yeah, these are not old ones. Yeah.
No, when people want to go, they'll go again. And I know what you're all thinking. No, pilots did not taxi those things into those positions.
Yeah.
Positively not did they let pilots park any of those airplanes. None.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, this is at Victorville, which was used to be called George Air Force Base up in California, up northeast of Los Angeles. And the Air Force Base was deactivated back in '92, I believe. But what they do is they turn it into a temporary boneyard, basically. Other places, most of them are on the south. I don't know of any place in the back in the east anywhere. Out here mainly because it's dry and it's easier on the airplanes. But there's just down the road from where Eric and I live here in Arizona, Marana Air Park. They have that, and then the Air Force has their big boneyard at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base down in Tucson. So
is that
that's
Marana
what they
right
do.
there?
What's that?
Is that still George or is that Marana?
You know, I don't know. I think that is George still, but I'm not.
It's from the same clip, just a little later. So I think it's just a closer shot of the Southwest plains that we saw before on the one side.
We touched on this last week, but you know, this is no cheap thing for the airlines. It's not just like you keep your car in a garage, until you want to use it the next time. They have to pay a lot of money and make both man hours and servicing to get those things ready to park them for a while, so that the seals don't all rot and it doesn't rust or get corroded or things like that. And then when they go to pull them out, they gotta reverse all that. They gotta pull it out, and so it's a really expensive operation. So the airlines are getting it right and left, and probably if they did you a change fee or a extra bag charge, you probably have little sympathy for them right now. But sooner or later, we're gonna pay for it. So, but it is expensive. And then in the news, I thought we got a couple of things related to flying. If you are out there flying, Dieter already mentioned a little bit about it. In Canada, they require the passengers. Do the crews wear masks as well, Dieter?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a new thing for us. Canada's ahead of us apparently. So for us, the JetBlue announced that they are requiring face masks for their passengers. I assume that their flight attendants will wear them. I wonder if the pilots are wearing them up front. Where they got to have have you heard anything, Eric? It just popped in my brain.
I will find out by next week, and I was just thinking that today, because boy, would that make communication tough.
Oh man,
between the radio and the other guy. But I think if the other guy is less than 400 degrees and you're not hacking that much, except for your part-time job in the coal mine, probably how would you transmit in the mic and to the other guy and everybody else? And if you're trapped up there with almost your own source of air circulation, I wouldn't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm wearing my mask when I go to the grocery stores now, and that big problem I have, and it's 100 degrees out here already. It still fogs up my glasses. Wow. I put that thing on there, and especially when you go inside in the cooler in the grocery store, so it's kind of a pain. But anyway, and then American is also they made that change now. They're requiring their crew members to wear them, as we were just talking about, and so we'll find out if the pilots have to wear them as well. And they're going to supply them, I believe, for the passengers.
I think that's correct. The flight attendants are wearing them, and they're offered to the passengers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the last aviation news is just about an emergency airline, or United made a landing back. I think it's about 6 days ago or so in Newark. And notice they didn't even have, I just captured this off of the one of the news feeds here. And notice the main theme to this article isn't even the headline. It's about the antiquity and all the old days at Newark Airport. So, you know, I don't know how many of you can remember, it was only just coming up on 2 years ago when Southwest had the tragic window that blew out and all that, and there was everything in the news, and it never died, and it keeps going. And then it was the 800 Maxes, okay? And now, you know, somebody loses an engine, no big deal. So you got to smile at that. That is what makes us human. We get so wrapped around the axle for some things, except if there's something more. And face it, that's the way your brain operates. If you know, I've used this with people. I said, you know, how anxious are you when you're flying along and you get turbulence? Man, I want to jump out of my skin. Okay. I said, if I'm sitting next to you and I pull a gun on you and you believe that I was going to use it, how much of a factor do you think that your anxiety over the turbulence would be? Probably not at all. So we have this automatic prioritizing that goes over. What does that say to you? It says that ultimately the way you get over it is to get comfortable with it, because that's what happens ultimately anyway. Nothing lasts forever. This is not going to last forever. Your fear of flying is not going to last forever. So get over it. How's that for compassion? Okay. So last thing, we just
people don't tune in for you to be reasonable, Ron.
Exactly.
That's not very nice. I'm just saying.
So the last thing is we'd still like to encourage you if you're we know you don't have that much to do, for God's sake. You know, you got to get tired of video games and chasing the kids around the house. So why not join us? Sign up. We're going to schedule a date here for the coaching, and if like I said, if you're interested, there's still time to jump on board and join us this Sunday for the okay. Here's the coaching there. And we said, pay what you can. So we got some suggested prices there. We were going to put one in of $400, but we elected not to do that. But we're serious. You can get in this. If you don't make us an offer, then we can't refuse. Okay. And so believe me, we want you in this thing, and we want you. And the other thing I did fail to mention, if it wasn't your cup of tea after day one, we'll give you your money back. That's how we feel about it. We know that people out there need some therapy. We've talked to your partners and stuff, and they said, no, really, he needs to go to get his head examined. So we're offering those kinds of services and our expertise, and God knows my head needs to be examined. And then the other one is we'll put another link in there into the 201 online masterclass that we're going to start on Sunday, 4 Sundays in a row, starting Sunday, May 3rd, for an hour and a half, and a replay for that. Okay, that's pretty much all the news that's worth printing tonight. Closing thoughts, Peter?
Let me just I've heard washing your glasses with shaving cream helps the fogging of glasses. That may be true, but here's a strange thing of trivia. That was Jim Duke, by the way, and I heard today in a podcast that what NASA teaches is the power of negative thinking, and that seems at first counterintuitive when all your thoughts seem negative and they seem powerful, but basically they are teaching their astronauts to imagine where you lose control. It's kind of like the panic button. So what they visually want to impart into their astronauts is to really get further and further and further and further and further away from the panic button, but within reach. And so that's kind of like the part of the mindsets that they're teaching them. And the Canadian astronaut, Chris Hadfield, I think, was out there on a spacewalk installing something, and just at the moment when he did some complicated maneuver, it so happened that something got in his eye, and it happened to be a cream that they use in their personal kit. And it was actually shaving cream from his personal kit that somehow he used, and a little tiny particle got in, and it just blurred his vision so much being in outer space. And so here's the cool thing. His heart rate never went over 100.
Wow.
So that you would imagine that's a highly stressful environment, but he was just trained that it will come up and he's got to deal with it. And it was just fascinating to hear.
Yeah, that's called overtraining. That's why Olympic athletes, that's how they use stress to their advantage. You don't set world records in practice. You only set them in competition. And you learn to do that. That's what musicians do. They overtrain, so they play. And you ever see some really fantastic musicians, you can have a conversation with them while they're playing some really complicated things. And that's what pilots do and flight attendants do as well. We overtrain so that we can manage our response to things that come up. Okay, cool.
The story reminds me of. I have to throw this 20-second deal in. The astronaut story reminds me of the Navy doing studies on fighter pilots. It was most of it was Vietnam coming back from combat, and just for laughs, they were monitoring heart rate, blood pressure during combat, and it was slightly elevated but not bad. But then when they had to come back and do the trap onto the ship, then it was out of control.
Yeah,
I mean that was 1,000 times worse than dogfighting and dodging SAMs. It's like, this is where somebody's really going to get an eye put out and end up in the ocean, and whoosh, it would go way up.
Carrier landings, man. I have several friends that were in the Navy or on exchange with them, and they said night landings and instrument landings on a carrier, everyone feels like the first. You never get comfortable. So anyway, all right. So much for our war stories. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of Eric and Dieter and myself, we'll see you next week for the next episode of Fearless Flight Live. Bye-bye.
Hey guys.
Bye, everybody.